I wouldn't wish my internal life on my worst enemy.
Wow.
Most people would claw their own skin off their face if they thought and felt the way I have most of my life. I believe that this addiction thing, you know, whether it's fame, whether it's relationships, accolades, money, sex, gambling, whatever you want to call it, whatever the placeholder is for the thing that I think I need or must have in order to feel okay, it stems from this belief system that something outside of me is ever going to be enough.
Hello, I'd like to introduce you to my friend, Jeremy Jackson. Jeremy is one of the original superstars of the hit show Baywatch that was globally recognized and pretty much in everybody's living room for a very long period of time. Jeremy Jackson found fame and stardom to be pacifiers to what was a very rough childhood. And he opened up about all of that, and it was very intense. He went on to discover that his life's mission was actually not focusing on himself, but actually focusing on others. And that's actually what he does now. And he explained all of his life's work and his life's purpose. It made me emotional, and I think he got a little emotional too. So I think you're gonna really enjoy this interview. Stick around, come join us, because this is Jeremy Jackson, and this is how Jeremy is making his mark. Jeremy Jackson. I grew up watching you on Baywatch. You are a staple of my youth, and
Come on, your mom watched it. You were too young for that show.
Thank you for the compliment. But no, seriously, you know, I never really thought about you as the person. I always thought of you as your character on Baywatch. I'm sure that's a challenge that most people are never going to experience, you know?
Yeah, it's weird. It's different, you know?
Yeah.
But it becomes like your normal. So like weird becomes your normal.
Yeah.
Your normal is other people's weird, or
Right.
what used to be weird has now become your normal. So you just kind of forget about it, really.
Yeah. I want to kind of figure out what, you know, what your life was like leading into that. I want to find out what your life was coming out of that. And I want to find out where you are now and how all of that has affected you, right?
Good luck, man. I hope you got some Sherlock Holmes mind, because it's quite the mystery.
Well, we're going to unlock the mystery, okay?
Let's go.
So first of all, my first question for you is, you know, when you were really young and you had all of the adoration, you were famous, and like everywhere you go, people recognize you and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure that there were some serious challenges that came along with that, but I'm sure it was probably addictive too.
I would definitely say addictive, you know?
So before you got to that point, what was your goal? Is that what you were really dreaming about?
It was, honestly. So, you know, from a really young age, I kind of just had this anchor set in me where I thought that if I could have fans, seas of people cheering for me and or celebrating me and or entertaining them, being the center of attention, I guess really is what that would be called, that I would find my power.
Yeah.
You know, so I didn't have a dad, and I just kind of felt powerless as a kid, lost as a kid, emotionally in kind of disarray, pain, confusion as a kid.
Yeah.
And watching like Michael Jackson. And I was like, oh, that means like you belong here. Like if you can do what that guy's doing, if you can command seas of people, that means you're important, or that you really have earned your place in life. And I guess I really wanted to earn my place.
You felt alone, and you saw the fame that Michael Jackson was getting, and you were craving for that.
Yeah, that's like exactly right.
Yeah, yeah. So I think I remember hearing that you hurt yourself doing some Michael Jackson moves.
Yeah, yeah. Which is, these conceptions I formed were so early.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was only a year old when I was spinning on my grandma's hardwood floor. And I figured, like, I tried to spin and I'm like, how does he do it? And then, like, the socks were like, oh, I can spin.
Yeah.
And so I was practicing my spins with the socks.
Yeah.
And I fell. At the time, I was still drinking out of one of those sippy cups that tips.
Oh my
it
gosh.
Doesn't spill.
So you were young.
I was like, I think in diapers still. I was a year old. That's when I got 137 stitches in my forehead.
Oh my God, 137 stitches.
Yeah, and I was a year old. Wow. Or maybe 127, but somewhere in there, because I had inside and outside.
Hey, we're in the high numbers. It really...
In the eyebrow to the hairline, through the eyebrow to the hairline. That's how big it was.
Well, it didn't ruin your face.
I was pretty young, so.
So something I really relate to, is, so I have a twin sister. And she, early on, she was able to memorize information after hearing it for the first time. Like, she aced her tests. Like, when we were in elementary school, school was a breeze for her, right? I was very spacey. I was like a creative. I like to, I like to be the center of attention. I was very social and everything like that, but I didn't really think of that as a set of intelligences, right? I just knew that the conventional form of schooling I was not good at, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, it took me a while, but later on in life, I realized that there's a whole bunch of different types of intelligences. For you kind of discovered that so early on too. You were struggling, right, with school.
Yeah, learning.
So tell me about
learning
that.
disabilities, gifted learning disabled, they said I had, which was like, I was a really high IQ, like high 130s, but I couldn't read. So I had like this high IQ, but I couldn't read.
Right.
But I could have a conversation like an adult from a really early age. And math didn't make sense to me. And so, I was hyperactive or ADHD, which really, is not a lack of attention. It's hyper focus for things that really interest you.
Right.
It's actually a blessing. It's not a curse. But, when you're supposed to conform in the classroom and just do nothing, it's driving you nuts. I want my hands on something. I want to learn. I want to be challenged. I need sensory. And so school just wasn't for me. So I got in a lot of trouble, and I was outcast and like made fun of for not being able to read and yada, yada, yada. It wasn't like a great, place to put roots in.
Right. Yeah. You were right around that time, like when you were younger and you were discovering that like I'm a little spacey, I'm socially really intelligent. Maybe you didn't process it quite like that, but you were realizing this, right?
Yeah.
Your home life was kind of struggling a little bit, right? Yeah. So how did all that play a role? Because I know that, a lot of times when people are, struggling with home life, that can translate into school, and people can go one of two ways. Either it helps them be more successful in school, or sometimes it can really hurt them. So what about you?
Well, school just was never the place for me. I didn't fit in. I was, stunted in areas that other people were good at, and I was gifted in areas that people weren't good at. So I'm singing and I'm dancing and I'm having these, intelligent conversations and like picking, wiping boogers off kindergartners' noses and tying their shoes. It's like, I know you're not supposed to walk around with snot coming out of your nose, and I know how to tie your shoe, and I'm in kindergarten, but like I can't draw an A. I like multiple sticks. I can't figure out how the crayon makes an A. Like just weird.
No, this is things. Like me too.
Yeah,
I get it.
So, that was that. But also, I mean, I would say really, my father was a gang member, heroin addict that was just the bad boy in high school that my mother fell in love with. And, he got into some really heavy stuff, and she kind of tried to keep me from being abused or having, being let down and by that, or having to see something terrible save me from the pain of maybe him overdosing or, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So she kind of ran from him, and I don't understand that as a kid. All I understand is that I was disposable. Like my dad isn't coming around,
Yeah.
And
kids don't process information the way that adults do.
Right. It's like kids are like InnerG readers.
Yeah.
Like all I read is InnerG.
Right.
You know, all they read is like feelings.
Right.
You know, and I can feel just something's wrong. I can feel that secrets are being kept from me. I can feel that people know things that I don't know.
Yeah.
I can feel that I'm being, you know, just kind of sugar-coated stuff, and
Right.
I don't like it. So, you know, spent the first, you know, year or two of my life just wondering where Dad is, and then, you know, on like my request, like, Mom, come on, you know, date some guys, find a guy, like really young. You know, my mom goes on a date with some guy. This guy turns out to be a straight psychopath, crank dealer, like paranoid, schizophrenic, and like stalks us for years, like rapes my moms, my sister, like I'm hearing my mom be beaten growing up and raped. Yeah. So the home life is gnarly, you know.
Oh my gosh.
A single mom running from a drug addict gang member while being, you know, stalked and beaten and raped by this other guy that's now the father of my little sister. So like pretty hardcore weird stuff, you know.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Kind of goes back to that, and, you know, what's weird is it becomes your normal. Like if it's all you know, it's just what you know. You think it's just what you know.
That's where you were. So it sounds like you were looking for something completely extreme, the other direction. You're looking for affection, you're looking for the validation, and you decide that you want to start getting into acting and commercials. What prompted that?
You know, it was this watching Michael Jackson and watching Elvis Presley, maybe my, you know, chaotic life with the, you know, abusive step guy, not really a dad. My mom never married him. That chaos, not fitting in school, struggling in that area, it kind of like drove me into my room where I would lock the door and I had like record player and like an old karaoke machine and like blank tapes and like would record and play and record.
It's your secret world.
My secret world. And my secret world was like creating radio shows and doing imitations and playing dress up and like creating choreography. And like then I eventually took it out of my room, like in front of people. Yeah. And like I was convinced I was the world's best ballet dancer, and I was convinced I was the world's best comedian, and I was convinced I was the world's best Michael Jackson impersonator. You know, so like I could just do this stuff at a really young age. Yeah. And I would do it everywhere. I'd do it up on a table at a restaurant. I did it in school. I got kicked out of school in the 3rd grade for grabbing my crotch repeatedly. And it's like, they think it's something vulgar, like I'm doing something sexual. And it's like 3rd grade, I'm just like, I'm dancing like my favorite entertainer in the world.
You're trying to be Michael Jackson.
Just emulating Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
He's grabbing his penis. That boy's going to end up in prison one day.
Oh my gosh.
So that, like just doing it, my mom's like, gosh, I mean, we're an Orange County family. We don't have like roots in entertainment at all. So she just was like, I guess maybe I should see if, you know, he could do, where do I go? And we just kind of called an agent, and it's kind of happened. Just kind of happened.
I think 2 things can be true at the same time. You're both super passionate about this whole world that is kind of like your secret world. And it also sounds like it was probably a coping mechanism for you.
100%.
You found a secret world that you could kind of cope with and take yourself to this place.
Yep.
And it was like a magical thing for you.
Right.
And so you don't know yet, though. I mean, you did. You really believed that you were the best comedian and the best dancer and the best.
You got to believe it to receive it, you know?
Before it even happened, you really believed in that. So you get your first gig. What was it?
First gig was a Mattel commercial for Mattel Color Racers, the cars that changed colors, Hot Wheels. Right? Yes. That changed color in warm water.
I'm sure I had some.
It was like the debut of those. They were like going to announce to the world this new Hot Wheels that changes color in warm and cold water. So it was like a really big deal. And that one commercial turned into 7 more Mattel commercials because,
but let's talk about when that commercial came out. Yeah. Behind the scenes, what was it like at school? What was it like when the kids saw you? Were they jealous? Tell me about it.
Oh, it was gnarly. I
can imagine.
I think In that same summer
Yeah.
that I did the Mattel commercial, I think I did a Frosted Mini Wheat commercial as well.
Yeah.
Like 3 months after that. And so it was like summer vacation. All any kid sees in between cartoons
Oh my gosh.
is me and then me again. Wow. And so, you know, back to school, it's like a lot of whispering, a lot of finger pointing, more making fun of, fights. I mean, I like deep weeping, like frustration weeping, like super extra, more outcast.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Is there one in particular that you remember? Or did you tune it out?
No, it's just really what I really remember is that deep cry, you know, that I don't understand cry, you know, really frustrated type of cry.
It's like a dichotomy. You're both feeling like so successful. You've got your dream, but it's like, it's laced with this also, you want everyone to like you.
I thought everybody was kind of like me. What happened to the seas of fans? And I just want friends, and I just want to be like, come with me. I got free color. They send me all these Hot Wheels. Come play with my Hot Wheels.
Hello. I get Hot Wheels. I get shredded wheat. Like, what? You don't want the shredded wheats and the Hot Wheels? Hello,
come
Unlimited.
over to my house, man.
Oh man,
it was weird. Yeah,
but the girls.
Yes.
Were they
girls
digging it?
The girls were digging it. It was still a little young for that really to use that influence.
You were like 6, 7.
Advantage. Yeah.
You were a little young for the girls.
Second grade, you know, that's just flirtation at that point.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I'm sure you got a lot of Valentine's cards.
I kissed a lot of girls. Yeah. I did.
All right. Well, okay. So that's something that you experienced, but it didn't derail you because you still wanted more fame. You were still addicted to a part of it that kept you going. It was still in you. You were still escaping something, whatever the case may be, right? So tell me, you got Baywatch you were like 9?
Yeah, I got Baywatch when I was 9. We didn't start filming till I was 10, but I did get it when I was 9. Yeah.
And you beat someone out for that role.
Lots of people, but everybody loves to talk about Leonardo DiCaprio.
To talk about Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, Jonathan Brandis. I don't know if you remember him.
Yes.
Talking to the Dolphins TV show. He was kind of a big deal. Yes. He was an up and comer. There was a lot of up and coming child stars that I would see. I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio. I saw it almost every audition I went to. You know, we're same age range. You know, same look. You know, cute kid look. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the behind the scenes though, tell me about like how that was for you. Did you feel so victorious when you got that?
It was a really big deal.
You felt the gravity of it.
I did feel the gravity of it, and there was a really interesting moment where, you know, I grew up. My mom and my grandma both. My grandma would watch Bonanza. Right?
Okay.
She loved Michael Landon. He had great hair and he was handsome. But then there was a show called Highway to Heaven. I don't know if you ever remember that. But my mom and my grandma really liked Highway to Heaven too. And it was Michael Landon again.
Okay.
And so my mom and my grandma really idolized this Michael Landon guy. And thought he was so handsome and strong and whatever. And then the day I got Baywatch, it was the last audition. I had done 4 of them.
Yeah.
And on the way home on the radio on Kiss FM, they announced that Michael Landon had died that day.
Oh my gosh.
And this Highway to Heaven show was really sweet. It was like about him and an angel, and this angel was guiding him. And I remember thinking like, oh shoot, like one only passes away when another one's takes its place. Whoa. You know, this is a shift and I'm going to be that male star now. I'm going to go and do those shows and go and be that new guy that people love. There was like a little shift.
I get it.
So I just vividly remember the day I got Baywatch was the day that Michael Landon passed away, and thinking that I want to go and fill the shoes of the handsome guy and become the handsome guy that ladies look up to.
One thing I want to point out is, and I see you, you know, a lot of your interviews, and now, you know, you're here in person. You have a very intense look. And and that's something that you have to know. You feel like that intensity when you're like talking to somebody, when you're interviewing with somebody, when you go into an audition, you go in with like this confidence, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel like that electricity when you're like walk into an audition and you're like, you look at somebody in the eyes and you're like, I've got this. Tell me about what that feels like.
That's a really interesting question, and it's a great topic because it worked really well for me as a kid. You know, like I already knew I was the best. Like when I walked into that room, I knew that nobody was going to work harder, be more committed, was going to listen, you know, more carefully to the directors and the producers of what they wanted. No one was going to deliver with the specificity, the commitment, the dedication that I would. I knew it. I knew I was willing to do whatever it took to make it perfect for them, for what they want, because they have a vision, and I'm here to help them, you know, have their vision come to life in the best way possible. And I just know. And it worked really well as a kid because I went in there with that confidence. I went in there with that light, that shine, that knowing, that inner knowing. But, and that's very much an athlete mentality. It doesn't work well as an artist, actually.
Yeah.
Because artists are meant to really create without the need for approval or to be rewarded with a medal or a win or like a purse, you know, you like.
Yeah, that, or I feel like when you're a kid, you're untainted. You grow up and you experience the haters, you experience the energy exchange where people maybe are trying to dim your shine, dim your light. And you get to this place where you've been dimmed and tainted and you don't maybe realize it.
That's definitely worth considering because I noticed as I went on and I went in there and I wanted it and I was going to kill it. And then somebody else got it that didn't have as much experience as me, that, you know, obviously, whatever, by my perception, wasn't willing to go above and beyond or wasn't going to make them as happy. And I knew it. It hurt because you show up and you want to win.
Yeah.
And then when you don't win and you know you're the better man, it like drives you nuts.
Yeah.
And so like most actors, they go to the audition and they don't care. It's just showing up. It's a numbers game.
Yeah.
I'm going to do 100 auditions and I'll get one of them or I won't. I'll get the 101st. And you just got to show up. Just keep showing up. And I just can't do that. At that time, I couldn't.
You believed in yourself. So you were maybe tainted a little bit.
Right. As I got older, I needed the win. Yeah. And it's very much an athlete mentality that kind of worked against me later. But, you know, obviously now growing in
like you feel like if you would have been not so confident, you would have given the 100 tries and you wouldn't have put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah. Or if I was just, you know, if I allowed myself to be, I guess, a little more in my feminine, in my creative and expressive artistic, if I would have fallen in love again with the art rather than falling in love with the outcome of getting the part because I was so good at my art. I was like, wait a minute, I'm really good at my art. Wait a minute, like, why aren't I getting stuff? And it might be that thirsty need is like, it becomes a tainted version of that, of that shine and that belief.
You know what's so crazy about this is that it's like hearing you say this and hearing it so raw and real is so nuts because like on the outside looking in, you're just this famous person who is winning all the time. Everything's just, you know, sunshine and rainbows. And so it's so crazy for anybody watching and just even like for me to hear, wow, you know, Jeremy is a real person. You actually do feel failure. It's crazy because on the outside, people don't see that. People don't see the failure.
I wouldn't wish my internal life on my worst enemy.
Wow.
Dude, Most people would claw their own skin off their face if they thought and felt the way I have most of my life. Like everything that I have done has been so contrary and uphill and against all odds, and never felt like I could or would ever. I just did it anyway. I just nose forward, regardless of how I felt.
Yeah. Wow. But I think that's successful people in general, don't you?
Yeah.
People think that successful people have the least amount of fear, but I would argue they have the most.
I would agree.
They just tackle it.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what discipline is. I mean, discipline
Definitely.
is the ability to take the actions that are uncomfortable, scary, unfamiliar, totally new and unknown, or,
Yeah.
I
can relate to this because I personally feel like I have an addictive, very obsessive personality that I have channeled into areas that I feel are like healthy things to be addicted to, right? Mm-hmm. And I feel like we have a lot in common with our personalities and just our set of intelligences. What about you? Do you have an addictive personality?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, tell me about
Full
that.
blown. Man, I could go into that one forever.
Start with your addiction to fame.
Yeah, well, I believe that this addiction thing, whether it's fame, whether it's relationships, accolades, money, sex, gambling, whatever you want to call it, whatever the placeholder is for the thing that I think I need or must have in order to feel okay, it stems from this belief system that something outside of me is ever going to be enough.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's a God-shaped hole that nothing else will ever fit into.
You just need to channel it, right?
You need to realize that you already are. Anything I want to now in my life, I realize that anything that I want to experience outside of me, I must already be able to expect from within.
Yeah.
And I'll never get it outside until I can expect to already have it within. Yeah. I'll never be loved until I can love myself.
Right.
Because no matter how many people love me, and no matter and thank God I know this. I mean, it cost me tens of millions of dollars and heartache and suffering and, deep despair, depression, and the loss of so much incredible things that I worked so hard for. Yeah. It cost me losing all that, the great suffering, they call it, the Magna Carta, or the Felix Culpa, going back. You know what I'm talking about? It's it's the pain that was absolutely necessary. Okay. The mandatory despair that it took to let go of that very thing. Yeah. So I had to experience this pain to realize that, no matter how much money I have in the bank account, if I still feel poor, if I'm still scared of not having enough money, no amount of money outside of me will erase that fear of not having enough money. And no matter how much love and adoration I have, I'll be on the cover of magazines and have seas of screaming fans for me. If I don't have love for myself, that's not enough.
Right.
And it's the same thing with drugs, man. It's the same thing with drugs, with medication, with you name it. Throw any material world thing out there, any tangible thing, and I'll tell you that it is the intangible that matters, no amount of tangible, and no audio. You'll never hear enough. The audible thing will never be said to you enough. You look great. You look great. You look great. If you don't feel like if you don't care anymore how great or not great you look. Yeah. Because you're just in the journey and you're not in the destination. Right. It's the inaudible, meaning it's what I hear within.
Right.
It's the invisible, what I see within. Right. No matter how much I see it outside of me.
Yeah. Yep, I do.
I'll never see it until I can see it inside.
Or you acknowledge that there is the addictive part of you, because this is me too. You like acknowledge that there's this addictive part of you, and you figure out, okay, like I can't ever get rid of that. It's like it's ingrained in me. It's part of me. I just need to figure out how to channel this.
Use it to your advantage.
Where do
Work
I put
with
this?
It,
Yeah.
not against it.
Am I gonna exercise like crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Am I gonna, be crazy with my 5 bags I carry everywhere and be super organized and
right.
disciplined and whatever? Because that has to be like, there's a place for it, right?
Yeah. Work with it, not against it. That's what it is. It's like this ego thing, or this addiction thing. Don't run from it.
Right.
Work with it. Make it your friend, dude.
Yeah.
They say, my ego is not my amigo. It's like, no, you need to make friends with your ego. You need to make friends with your addiction, with your obsessive compulsive behavior. You need to make friends with that motherfucker because it's not going away. You got to work with it or it'll beat your ass to a pulp.
Yeah. This actually leads me to something else that has been burning at me since we started talking, okay, which is you are aware that you're a very attractive person, right? Throughout your whole life, you have had a feedback loop on and on, that you know this about yourself, okay? Your appearance has taken many different forms. And you look quite a bit different right now than you did back in the Baywatch days and also afterwards. I saw interviews of you 5 years ago. You look quite a bit different now, right?
Yeah.
So is there something to the evolution of your appearance? Like, where are you? Because that is a reflection of us and how we feel, right?
Sure, absolutely.
So tell me about your appearance evolution.
Well, I'd like to be able to tell you and the audience, hi, I'd like to introduce you to my friend Jeremy.
Yes.
And good thing I didn't kill myself back when I wanted to, because I would have been killing the wrong person.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know me.
That's intense.
Who I wanted to kill was not me. It was
right.
Some weird, contorted, twisted version of me that wasn't even real me. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm the real me now, but I felt like I was the real me before, which means I'll probably change or keep evolving. Mm-hmm. And if you don't grow, you go. If you're not changing and evolving, then you're probably holding on to some idea from the past and trying to cling on to some version that, like a freaking snake that sheds its skin, like you gotta be working with it, not against it. But right here, right now, I do feel more comfortable in my skin than I've ever been.
That's good.
The way I eat and the way I train has become more of an act of gratitude and more of a healthy relationship, whereas it used to own me. I was in a prison of what I couldn't do, which made me only want to do what I wasn't supposed to do and feel like, oh, God, I got to go back to the gym. And now it's like I've fallen in love with the process all over again. Yeah. So I'm definitely closer to the most authentic version of myself than I've ever been.
Yeah. Because you're a lot more hidden, right? You have a lot of your face is hidden now. You have a beard. You hide out a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
Almost two things, either or both. You're, reinventing yourself into the version of you that you feel like you are the most, and or you maybe are trying to run away from the version of you so far that you're maybe. There's a part of that you want to almost like escape from. Maybe you don't want to be recognized. I don't know. I'm trying to figure you out.
I'm not opposed to considering any of these options. I know for sure I've definitely tried to hide behind a lot of different mystiques in the past. Wanting to be jacked and on the cover of bodybuilding magazines back in the day,
which you were.
Yeah. The Iron Man thing was a big deal for me.
Yeah.
Clark made that happen.
Yeah.
He's made a lot of my dreams come true. He's a great guy.
Yes.
What's up, Clark Bartram? We love you. Thinking that if I was strong enough, again, comparing my outside life to my inside world, that would make me stronger, that would protect me. I feel like a lot of those boundaries and a lot of those layers and barriers have gone down. And then, everybody tries to get me to shave the beard. Shave the beard, you're more handsome. And I just feel like it's not my job. It's not my focus. It's not my concern about how handsome I am or am not.
Bingo.
I just want to do what feels good to me.
Yeah.
And if the beard feels good, it feels I don't know, makes me feel some
Good.
type of connection to a primal version of more raw me. You know,
I love it.
I don't. Would I look younger if I shaved it? Heck yeah. You know, do I care about looking younger when I'm 43, almost 44 years old? I'm not obsessed with that anymore.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so it's kind of cool, and I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to going full silver fox when it goes silver. I'm like, yeah, like maybe that's when I'll get back into acting. You know,
Right.
Like 50, shredded, just silver
Yeah.
back. You
Yeah.
know, all gray beard, shave the head, and just be like, "What's up? Remember this little kid?" Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Hey, I would never ask you to change. I'm just intrigued.
I love it. I love these types of
I'm fascinated
considerations.
because you know, somebody who has been through so much in life, right? And you've experienced such a roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I would assume this is how it would be for anybody with so much recognition and so much fame. Probably gets to your head. Probably there's some egos involved.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's
Tell me
one
about
thing.
that.
It's one thing being recognized all the time. I'll tell you about it. You know, you go from you're this kid and teenager and 20s. You know, that everywhere you go, pointing, whispering, "Can we take a picture?" Screams, gasps. You walk into the party, like 9 girls that were all just hanging out, they all gasp at the same time, you know, and that's just normal.
Yeah.
And you learn to like kind of not pay attention to it, because
Yeah.
if you pay attention to it, then you just seem like egotistical. So you're like, pretend you don't notice and just try to be a normal guy. And hey, yeah, it's cool. Good to see you. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, take a picture. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know, have a conversation with you. Try to let you know I'm a regular guy too. Hey, yeah, how you doing? Okay, cool. Yeah. Oh, you like, thanks so much for watching the show. That's cool. We got some new stuff coming out. Looking for, you know, whatever. I'm not a jerk. Make sure you know I'm not a jerk, because if you think I'm a jerk, you're going to tell your boyfriend, and then I'm going to get beat up later. You know, like I gotta be taking. I'm gotta be like Navy SEAL, like operator. Where's the exit?
Yeah.
Because when shit does pop off, my nose has been broken 13 times. I've been jumped. I've been attempted kidnapped twice, hog-tied, you know, held for like attempted hold for ransom, beaten to smithereens at just random parties, nightclubs, like literally teeth all knocked out of my face, jealous guys. I have 2 chicks and I'm all, you know, looking all fancy, and they're like just hating on me. That's that guy. Let's just beat the crap out of him. So there's all that. You got to be like operating at a certain, be really, really nice to everybody. So nobody thinks you're a jerk, because they'll jump you if you do. Can't have an off day, can't have a bad day. So there's that, right?
Right.
And then there's this shift where, you know, I disappear for a couple years.
Right.
And, you know, I come back and like I'm a man, and and they're like, "Hey, will you take a picture?" And you're like, "Oh, it's been a while. It's been a while since anybody asked me that."
Yeah.
I'm thinking this in my head. And then they hand you the phone and they want you to take a picture of them. They have no idea who you are. And you're like, whoa, that never happened to me before.
Yeah.
And then
you crave it again. And
or not really.
Yeah.
Like it hurts, but then it's kind of like, wow, like I could be different. Maybe I could be my own person. Maybe I could have a new start.
I think I am figuring you out.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm figuring you out for sure.
I think we're all trying to figure ourselves out.
Yeah.
Know?
Well, I think sounds needless to say, you had your fill on that, where I think a lot of people go their whole life and they never experience even a fraction of that type of attention. And they're constantly, I mean, it's kind of crazy because you're in a generation where you've seen multiple different eras, right? Before the social media era, the social media era, you've seen kind of the whole rise of that. Yeah. And you're in a very unique generation in that sense. But we
had a real shift in entertainment and in what was seen as cool, hot, sexy, right? Like,
and you notice
incredible performers, you know, hot, upper echelon, incredible bodies. And now it's like, if you look like that, you're almost like strange. But if you look like something else, you know, or you got weird butt implants, or you're super duper basic and you're like this star for being really normal. Like you be famous for being ultra normal now.
Right. But guess what? It's crazy because those many bouts of fame that people experience, they get just like a little taste of it and they get addicted to it. For you, it sounds like you got such a huge dose of it.
Yeah.
A mega dose of it for a period of time. And it almost was like so much for you to handle that you're like, I really want this. I'm addicted to it. But you also knew it was bad for you. Like if you almost like I was like, I need to run away from this.
Yeah.
But God, what am I going to do without it? So
kind of got taken by force, kind of got ripped from my hands, had a lot of claw marks in it, we'll say.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was almost really not even an option anymore. And then I got faced with this decision, like, do I go back and beg and plead and pine after what was already mine? Like it was mine by divine birthright.
Tell me about that. I don't know if I know the story.
Which one?
You said it was yours and it got taken away from you.
Well, I have this quote that I like. Actually, it's my mom's. My mom made this up.
Okay.
I didn't get Baywatch. I'm not the way I am because I was on Baywatch.
Right.
I was on Baywatch because of the way I am.
Ooh, I like that. That's good. Yeah.
And it's really why I got all the jobs. It's why I did 2 albums and traveled all over the world and had 2 top 10 hits. And
Baywatch didn't make you, you made you.
I was already working on it when I was a year old.
Right.
I was creating this thing. I was seeing it, mastering my craft, practicing tirelessly. It was a divine, intuitive, inspired vision and goal.
Yeah.
And it manifested into reality, you know? And it was because I didn't know what it was. I just knew what I loved.
Yeah.
And I lost what I loved, along the way. Pride, ego, young mentality, money, fame. I got results oriented instead of creative oriented, and it happens. I don't know. I went through puberty. I got hormones I didn't have before.
Right.
There's a million reasons behind that.
Right.
But at 18, I walked away and kind of in this really angry tirade, I guess you could say, of, resentment and blame. I got on this show that, believe it or not, whether you watched it or not, and if you didn't watch it, August 28th on Hulu, the After Baywatch, A Moment in the Sun documentary is going to tell a lot of this story. It's really powerful stuff. It's coming out like right now. Like go to Hulu, they're playing the advertisement right now. Kelly Slater's in it, Carmen Electra's in it, Pamela Anderson, like all the real G's, the superstars. Yeah, we're in it and we're talking about it. And there's a lot of behind the scenes footage never seen before, personal home videos of mine. It's a real tell all deal. But when I got on the show, it was a character driven show about lifeguards who had relationships and kids and family. And it was kind of like a CSI or like a Law and Order. Here's cops, right? This just happens to be the precinct and they're talking and they're busting crimes. They're doing what they do as a work, but you're interacting with their relationships and their outside worries and lives and going home and what that's like to go home. I love those kind of shows too. They're called procedural shows.
Okay.
And Baywatch really started out as a procedural show.
Yeah.
So, you're wrapping up the lifeguard can. You just happen to be in a bikini and tan because you work at the beach as a lifeguard.
Right.
But as you're setting up the truck for the day of saving lives, you're talking about, hey, is your mom okay? Like struggling, you're like, oh, yeah, she's in the hospital and blah, blah, blah. And that's really kind of how it started. And so here's David Hasselhoff, the Knight Rider superstar, who's my dad, and he's trying to take care of a kid he's a single parent and the kid's getting into trouble just like single parents kids do. And how do you, support your son and not go in the wrong direction in a city like Venice Beach or Santa Monica when you could easily go one street over and be in a gang, or you could be one street over and be in junior lifeguards. Right. The line's very thin. So it was humanitarian. There was some emotion there. There was some real stuff there. And then it got really popular because a couple of great, amazing beauties like Pamela Anderson are on there. And
you.
But the producers just got the taste of blood. You know, they got those big rating bursts and those big media stuff, and they're like, oh, then it just became about the next hottest chick. That's our claim to fame, the next hottest chick. So it turned into a procedural show with some meaty interaction to like a slow-mo boob show.
Right.
And that was just kind of the B storyline. That just happened to be there because we're on the beach and we're all, you know, keeping in shape because you have to save lives. You can't be out of shape to save lives.
Right.
So, and that pissed me off really, because, you know, now my storylines are getting cheesier and, you know, I'm a real guy from Orange County and there's certain stuff I know 16-year-old kids don't do and say. And I'm like, now I'm fighting with producers about.
You're losing the art of it.
Losing the art of it. And, you know, that anger, that disappointment, and also paired with puberty, paired with, you know, being a little, you know, not having a six pack or not being as jacked as the guys. You can't develop muscle maturity. You know, you can't get that look when you're just a surfer. You know, I'm just a surfer, and these guys have been training. So, so comparison me to them, I'm not really ready to look that way and be that a sex symbol yet. And it's kind of a bummer, but I want to be one. And so I finally said, I was getting multi-million-dollar offers from big movies.
Wow.
You know, and a lot of stuff was coming down the pipe that was like, hey, this kid's a serious actor. And so I told Baywatch to fuck off. Like I flipped them off literally in the middle of a workday, in the middle of a multi-million-dollar workday. I said, screw it, I'm not doing this anymore. And I walked off the set. Like, granted, I was partying my face off, you know. I was drinking and drugging all the time. I was at the Playboy Mansion. I was in limos and nightclubs at 16, having a great time.
I heard about some of your Playboy Mansion stories.
From who?
Your podcast.
Oh, no. But I left in like a real huff, like a real fit, like a temper tantrum, puffed my chest out. You need me, I don't need you. And
do you regret that?
Do I regret it? I mean, there's no point in regretting. I would say
I agree.
no. Yeah, I would say
but
no.
would you do it differently? Looking back?
Oh gosh, if I could do my whole life
We're
over
just
again,
gonna
knowing what I know
hypothetical.
now. Hypothetical. I mean, you never want to, you know, burn bridges like that. What I would have done differently, you know, if you could do like one thing different, you can't do everything different. But what I would have done differently is you know, given myself the ability to process these emotions and to see why I was really upset, and to the deeper shadow work of what was going on. So I didn't blame everybody else and take accountability for what was going on inside of me. You know?
2 questions. Number 1 is, how many seasons did it go on after you left?
So after I left, I think it was over, dude. I think it went like straight to Baywatch Hawaii, or maybe, no, I think that was it.
That was it. Well, you were a huge part of the show. My second question is, I would imagine you would have like, I don't know, David Hasselhoff take you to the side and have like a man-to-man conversation, or none of that?
He did. He totally did.
He did?
He totally did. He pulled me aside.
Tried to knock some sense into you?
He tried to help me out. Yeah.
That you were stuck in your way.
Yeah, dude. When you're 17 years old and, you know, you're smoking coke and going, you're just deep, and he's like worried. Nobody assumes that's what you're doing at 17. They just think maybe you're a stoner, or, you know, your teenage angst. So I was too embarrassed to tell him the depths of the dark I was doing. Yeah. Because I was kind of pulling it off.
Right. Or you thought.
Right.
That's what, everyone thinks, right?
I'm a functioning addict.
Right.
I'm still showing up to work and doing my job.
This is common, right?
Yes, yeah. And it's all your fault for writing crappy scenes, and that's why I'm leaving. Yeah. But really, I'm leaving because I'm scared, I'm embarrassed. That's the shadow work I'm talking about. I wish I would have known how to do that.
Yeah. I mean,
because it might have been a great idea to leave the show. Yeah. Like in a healthy way.
Right.
Like, I really have outgrown this pretty boy thing, and I want to go I'm going to be in the whatever, you know.
Like, do it without burning bridges.
Right.
You wish you could. That's what you would do. But you don't have regrets on leaving. Just the way. Yeah. So what was next?
Next was about 2 years of turning down beautiful, huge offers. melting my music career completely, and just partying, just raging.
So you were distracted.
To put it mildly.
For how long?
About 2 years.
2 years you were distracted. Okay, so you get to your early to mid 20s. Okay, and the offers stop coming?
Completely. I mean, the offers that did come were like ridiculous, like sad, big ideas and promises and buddies. That
The Notebook? Did you get The Notebook?
No. Walk to Remember was written for me.
No way.
It was written for me before anybody was cast. The writer wrote it, which he's a very famous writer, with me as the lead. Like I was the inspiration for that character.
And you turned it down?
Turned down $1 million. At that time was a lot of money. You know, in the 90s, that was a lot. You know,
why?
I was too busy partying to really actually read the script. And I was so used to offers flooding in that I just thought another one would come and I would take that one when it was a little more convenient, or maybe, it was like a really committed thing and I just didn't want to take that long away from my party life to do that, or,
Because it sounds like you had been humbled. Because, when you deal with like rejections and, disappointments and stuff like that, I feel like that shapes your character. And you 100%. Had enough of that at that point to have it affect your character. So there was obviously the distractions with the partying and stuff like that must have altered your judgment.
Oh, full blown. I went into a completely different dimension of existence. I would say I was trying to literally tear it all down. That's probably why I didn't
sabotaging yourself.
Full sabotage, full burn it to the ground. Yeah. Phoenix will rise from the ashes if I'm lucky.
Yeah. But you seem really happy right now. I could tell that we all, who can say that they're, everything is going perfectly. So that laugh said it all. But you seem very at peace.
I always say if I was any better, I'd be twins. And you're a twin, so
I'm better, I guess. Yeah. I'm better than you. No, I'm just kidding. No, but you continued on, and it sounds like you kind of went into like a different career path. When do you feel like you truly got over the, phase of your life of partying and getting into all that and made it to the other side?
Well, I got sober when I was 20 years old. And I didn't touch a drink or a drug for 12 years.
Really?
Yeah. So, and I ended up producing fashion shows, working in the nightlife industry with brands like Von Dutch, Ed Hardy, Crystal Rock, Paco Chicano, Joey and T, which was like Britney Spears designers, tour designers. So I worked closely with them and Paris Hilton and the Osbournes and Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week. And so I was all behind the scenes. I was creative again. I was working with breakdancers and pro skaters and creating these really like edgy fashion shows. It was so fun. I traveled the world all over again, had a lot of fun, a lot of success, and it was more on an entrepreneurial basis. And it was really fun.
So you were in the behind the scenes on the creative process of it. They didn't want you to model?
I didn't want to.
Oh, you didn't want to. I was going to say.
I'd come out. I'd MC some of them. I'd do some announcements, but I really enjoyed the creative process.
Yeah.
Creating music with producers, the lighting, the DJ, the vibe. I would work with the models for hours and choreograph the whole thing. So it was almost like I was back to being that kid again.
No way.
My fashion shows had like chainmail and warrior helmets and people breaking, skateboards over their head, and the guys from like You Got Served breakdancers like with a robot helmet, like doing robot stuff. They were really, really fun. Confetti flying everywhere and sparklers, and they were a huge hit. Like I created something really fun. Traveled the world with that, got to be creative, made really good friends with Christian Audigier, rest in peace. And that was a really, really fun period.
Wow.
And
that sounds fun.
people would come up to me in nightclubs and be like, dude, what is it? What do you want? Like, can I have some? Like, is it Coke? Is it Molly?
Right.
Like, and I'd be like, I'm sober. And they would be mad because they thought I was like lying to them and
Right.
whatever I had was really good and they wanted it.
Yeah.
But I was stone cold sober, having the time of my life.
Wow. So since then, have you relapsed?
Yes, I relapsed at about 13 years sober.
You made it so long.
I know, a long time.
Yeah.
And I just got into a place where I thought, I forgot that there's something in me that doesn't exist in about 90 to 92% of the world's population. 90 to 92% of the world's population do not have what I have.
Which is?
Well, science calls it the warrior gene.
Okay.
It's a part of the amygdala.
Okay.
It's responsible for dopamine release in the Krebs cycle. And a normal person can take a shot of whiskey, do a bump of Coke, pop an E-tab, and not become obsessed with doing more.
Interesting.
There's a mutation in the brain of real addicts, and only real addicts. Anybody can get a habit. Right. Anybody can get stuck on a pain pill.
Right, but this is a disease.
Right? This is a mental defect.
Right.
And science calls it the warrior gene because through genetic research and looking at our human population as a whole and the evolution of mankind, that they believe this thing exists to make sure no one tribe would ever go extinct. That at least 9% of any small civilization will be at their best when they're closest to death.
Jeremy, you're put on this planet to keep us all alive.
I do have a pack that I'm pretty responsible for, and I pride myself on trying to rise to the occasion for others.
Wow.
But this thing, it's biological in nature. It can't be prayed away, and it can't be rationalized with. Just like you getting a sunburn. You'll get a sunburn if you go in the sun too long, because your body is releasing a specific amino acid through biological interactions that are beyond your comprehension or your ability to rationalize or justify, and you're going to get burnt, and you will. Yeah. So you do what's necessary to not get burnt, or you don't go in the sun. Or if you go in the sun for a long time, you're like, I'm going to be crispy when I get home, right?
Right.
So an addict, the dopamine wheel turns on and stays on.
Yeah.
And on a biological level, on every cell in your body says you have to do that again to survive. You have to lie about it. You have to hide it. You have to manage it. You have to control it, but you have to stay on it. Don't stop, don't stop, don't stop. So a lot of addicts, they really curse themselves for being these weaklings, or that maybe I'm just a criminal. Like I'm terminally, like I'm rotten. That's what it is.
Yeah.
None of them like hurting people. None of them like lying to people. None of them like overdosing and dying. None of them like borrowing their grandma's money to get out of jail. None of them love letting their employers down. They're sure they won't do it this time, but they have something in them that won't allow them. But that only happens once you put it in you. You turn the wheel on and it says, do that again, do that again, do that again. But it's actually a blessing. It's not a curse.
Right.
When, like you were talking about, when given a path, when used for a purpose.
Channel it to the right direction.
So I say, as long as I'm making sure I'm always prepared to pull somebody else out of the fire, I prevent myself from jumping back in. I am a warrior now, pro and for. I don't spend any time considering what I am against or what I believe to be wrong. I just get invested and focused on what I believe to be right and what I believe to be good.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna work on my anger issues. I'm gonna work on more love and acceptance, because that is the beneficial counterpart.
Interesting.
I'm not gonna work on my fear. I'm gonna work on my courage. I'm gonna work on my faith.
Right.
I need more faith and courage. I don't need to overcome fear.
Yeah. I can feel that energy from you. You help people now. Tell me about that.
The first half of my life was, really all about me. And it only brought despair It only brought pain. It only brought misery. It only brought failures to launch. No matter how good I did, or no matter how hard I tried, it was never enough. And I have found a way of being. I don't even have to do anything anymore. It's great. It's a way of being. It's a simple attitude that if being all about me created frustration, irritability, and failure, then I'm going to be about God. I'm going to be about others. God and others, God and others, God and others, God and others. Who could I be of service to today? Who can I help? Where can I be productive or effective? How can I be usefully whole today? Spirit guide me, you know? That's the answer to all my problems.
Yeah.
I think it's the answer to the world's problems, but people got to figure that out.
You figured it out. So tell me about what you're doing, what your career.
Yeah. So my company is called InnerG Wellness Group.
Tell me about it.
InnerG, I am InnerG. InnerG stands for whatever you want.
And this is your company.
Yeah. It's inner gratitude, inner God,
Okay.
inner gangster, inner good, inner growth, inner genius.
I'm inner gangster.
Inner gangster, man. You got to tap into your inner gangster. See, the truth is when you already know you're a gangster, you don't need to tell anybody because your life shouts way louder.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying?
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because other people know.
Yeah.
Because you know.
Yeah.
And words aren't necessary.
That is so true.
It is true.
My dad always told me that if you're really good at something, you never have to tell anybody because they'll figure it out themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, all this years and millions of dollars and all the various, numerous experiences to try to find this gratitude, this power that I was so hungry for, this power. I found out the power's inside the whole time, you know?
Wow.
I looked everywhere but inside. So InnerG represents that. It's the God within. And we lead transformative breathwork meditations, which elicit a altered state of consciousness, releasing the body's natural DMT to have a full-blown breakthrough, whether it's emotionally, spiritually, physical healing. We see it all the time. On a daily basis. We lead groups on mindset, quantum mentality, going from particle to wave, going from matter to energy.
Right.
I'm not a human being trying to have a spiritual experience. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. The human experience is temporary.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you know this, but you have 2.63 trillion volts of electricity in your body. Did you know that?
I do now.
Yeah, because every human body on the face of the planet is born with about 35 to 37 trillion cells in their body. And every cell of the human body has a 0.7 volt charge or 70 millivolts.
Okay.
They're the same. 70 millivolts times 35 to 37 trillion is about in the ballpark of 2.63 trillion. 2.63 trillion volts of electricity courses through your veins right now on a cellular level. A bolt of lightning is 1 billion volts.
Wow.
You have the power of about 2,000 bolts of lightning in you right now.
Wow.
You could never be low energy because you are energy. Now, once you realize this simple statement.
That's profound.
Once you realize it, caffeine is no longer your master.
Right.
You don't need it. You want it. You're not worshiping a false idol. You're not missing job opportunities.
Right.
You're not filling out all the paperwork for that submission. You're not running all your errands. You're not missing things. I can't go to the dinner because I just don't have the energy.
You're processing the positive. You're like not even processing the negative.
No, because I am energy. I could never be low in energy. And when I realize I am energy and there's no amount of sleep I could get to have more energy, you could be up for 5 days and you still have 2.63 trillion volts of electricity in your body. That's divine energy. That's infinite energy. That energy, by the way, when it leaves your body, makes when you die, you go down about an ounce.
Yeah.
27 grams goes off the scale when you die. That's the energy that inherits your body right now. It came into this body and it's going somewhere else. It's infinite energy.
Yeah. You're giving me, I feel electricity right now.
Yeah.
You're selling this.
That's God in you recognizing God in me. That's the capital T truth that sets you free.
That's what it is. But I have another question for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Cause you're so passionate about this. I could literally feel the electricity like coming off of you. Mm-hmm. What kind of people?
You spot it because you got it.
That's usually what it is.
Spot it because you got it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's how the world works.
Yep. Game recognized game.
Yeah.
No.
Like attracts like. Real recognized real. All that.
That actually perfect segue into my question, which is, who is attracted to this company? What kind of people do you get coming in your doors saying, I want to learn about the InnerG mentality and process?
The coolest thing about that is I don't have to send out any resumes.
Yeah.
I don't send out any emails. I don't ask anybody to hire me. I already know. I know what I have, and it finds me. So,
because I want to try it. It's like,
you're doing it right now.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
It's just a mindset. It's just a shift. It's a knowing. And so we have the Balanced Man Retreat, which we do about every 2 months in Costa Rica, which is one of the biggest blessings and the biggest gifts I've ever been a part of. I got our logo tattooed right here. Represents the balanced man.
Nice.
So I go to Costa Rica every couple months for a week, and we have 10 or 20 guys out there, and we shoot bow and arrows, and we do meditations, and we do lectures and topics, and we do jujitsu and Krav Maga and boxing and hike up waterfalls and all that stuff. We infuse each other, man. We empower each other, and we send these men back out into the world, back out into their families, back out into their job place to be that spark, man, that lights a greater flame in the world.
Just word of mouth.
It's just, it's this. I'm already the homing beacon. By having it in me, boop, 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 I am the antenna. I put it out into the universe and it finds me.
I believe that.
It's the law of attraction.
I really do believe
real.
that. I do.
So we have 46 groups a week in Orange County that we lead in various mental health hospitals and drug and alcohol detox units. We do private one-on-one stuff. Wow. I'm doing this Saturday. You should come at Equinox, the gym. I'm doing an hour-and-a-half breath work, transformative breath work, medicine ceremony.
Okay.
At Equinox in Huntington Beach.
Okay.
So, probably within no time, I'll be on a nationwide tour with Equinox doing New York and Miami and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's about where we are for now. We did a really cool retreat in Pahrump on a petting zoo with alpacas and peacocks walking around and people breathing and sound baths and guided meditations and lectures on mindset and how to become like your own InnerG.
Yeah. You're living your life's purpose. I want to know, I have a big question to ask you, but first, before I ask that big question, I want to know, do you feel like you're on your path right now and your purpose? Or do you feel like you want to get back into acting at all?
There's really no desire for me to get back into entertainment. There really isn't. This project in Hulu, however, I ended up being
You may get some calls.
A producer on, because, the way it pays nothing. It's a documentary. It pays nothing. It was a lot of time, and it was a lot of effort on my part and shipping stuff and driving up and doing multiple interviews and, blah, 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 blah. But the guy who produced it, Matt Felker, is a G. He's a kid from Wisconsin who was inspired deeply by this whole Malibu Baywatch lifestyle. Mm-hmm. He's a stud. He's ripped. He's jacked and ripped and does triathlons.
Right.
And he was inspired by Baywatch and he wanted to show the world today what it did for him and so many other people in that era.
Right.
And so I did it just because I loved him.
Yeah.
It wasn't about me. It was about him and helping his dream, being a part of his dream coming to reality.
Yeah.
He spent $4 million out of his own pocket.
Wow.
Like I was just straight out of faith. No, didn't know if anybody was going to buy it. And I was like, dude, you're an InnerG. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I jumped on the bandwagon with him.
Awesome.
Turns out now I'm like a co-producer on it, and it's going to be super dope. And it's, the team from the Bulls documentary, The Last Dance.
Yes.
Super award winning.
Yeah.
They are doing the editing.
Nice.
The team from Vans doing all the graphic design.
Okay.
The camera crew from Pimp My Ride, like a lot of really cool people came together. So, we'll see what happens, but probably because I don't care anymore, I'm going to get all kinds of offers.
That's just the law. This Murphy's Law.
And I'll tell you what, man, I will not leave the trenches of the people who I can help for some you're
on a different path.
fulfilling prophecy of more money. Like I will take less as long as I'm more useful and effective in my community, man. Because if I can't I have to be effective in myself.
Right.
Right. If I can overcome that within me that blocks me off from the abundant, infinite potentials of the universe. Attachment is the root of all human suffering. I think, therefore I am. As a man thinketh, so shall he become. I'm reaping what I'm sowing. And if I can't sow the proper seeds and become this vessel of open to everything, attached to nothing, if I can't do that, I can't change the dynamic in my family. And if I can't change the dynamic in my family, I can't change the dynamic in my community. And if I can't change the dynamic in my community, I can't change the dynamic in my city or my state or my country or the world. And do I want to have an impact on the world? That'd be cool. But I know all I really got to do is be able to do it here, and I can do it anywhere.
Right.
I
do. And I'm so glad you were able to talk about how you didn't actually change your purpose by being a part of the Hulu. It's not like you left your path to do Hollywood. It's like you did Hollywood to help a friend and to help someone live their purpose, because that's the journey that you're on. And I think that's so dope. Yeah, that is. That's
the Bible
awesome.
says that the crooked ways will become straight, or the old things will become new.
Yeah.
And the entertainment industry is a very old thing for me, tarnished and weird and yucky. And I did it again, and it was totally different.
Yeah, because you did it on your terms. You were doing it on your path. It was still focus. A part of your path, which is so awesome. And that's that is really cool.
And
yeah.
What was I focused on? I was focused on that guy.
You were first, yeah.
I wasn't focused on me.
And that's why you loved it so much.
And how if I did a really good job, then I'll probably get an offer. And if I get an offer, I can buy a new car. If I buy a new car, I'll be cool on Instagram.
Yeah.
And if I'm cool on Instagram, I'm going to get lots of people to pay me. And if I get lots of people to pay me, I don't care anymore, dude.
Yeah.
It's like freedom is the most priceless gift on the face of the planet.
Oh, God. That's so good.
Let me tell you.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Mic drop. So now here we are. Okay, this is our Make Your Mark series, and you have made your mark. You're continuing to make your mark. Okay. If you were to look back on your life, what mark would you say that you've left on the world in your life?
I was going to look back at my life. Well, before I go into that, I would like to thank you. And all of the mark makers who have been on this show for dedicating their lives to sharing a message, having a message of depth and weight, and having a purpose, and wanting to be part of a shift or a change. Yeah. So thank you to all the people that have already been on this show, and thank you to you for highlighting those people. Thank you. It's powerful. It's beautiful. And to be included in that group is a huge honor. So thank you.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad you're here.
It's really special. It's a special time in our world. Mm-hmm. It's a special time right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm just really thankful and grateful to be part of a team who's in the work.
Yep.
The real work. Yep. The stuff that really matters.
Yep.
So, this embrace the mystery. Mm-hmm. Embrace the mystery, which means, my story is not written yet. Mm-hmm. I'm in the mystery.
Okay.
I'm in the unknown, and I'm embracing the unknown, and I'm totally open to whatever version of my story I think has been written being completely different than I could ever imagine. I want the inconceivable, I want the unbelievable. I want beyond my own limitation of human conception. And I think if I get too married to any ideas or attachments of ideas or labels now, I'm really blocking off that infinite flow of the universe. So
That's awesome.
I think we all just got to stay tuned for the mark.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, you're on a journey, and your journey is led by, I think, a deep-seated purpose of making an impact on the world. And you're kind of open to wherever that takes you. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
So thank you so much.
It's a really good time with you today.